Incredible heartwarming story. Millionaire discovers hidden courage of Maid, protecting his ailing mother. Nathan stood in the kitchen of his sprawling Oakwood Heights mansion, sipping his morning coffee while surveying his kingdom of gleaming surfaces and polished countertops. He prided himself on his success, a self-made millionaire, living the American dream. But as he glanced at Maria, his maid, diligently scrubbing the floor, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of superiority. To Nathan, Maria was just another cog in his luxurious machine, a necessary presence to keep his world running smoothly. Little did he know, on that fateful morning, his world was about to shift beneath his feet. With a sudden pang in his chest, Nathan received the phone call he dreaded the most. His elderly mother had suffered a heart attack. Panic set in as he scrambled to manage his work commitments while racing to the hospital. "I'm really sorry, Nathan," Maria said softly, pausing her chores. "Is there anything I can do to help?" Nathan scoffed, barely looking her way. "No, just keep doing what you do," he replied curtly, brushing aside her offer. But the truth was, he found himself overwhelmed. It wasn't just fear for his mother, it was the realization that he now needed help. Real help, beyond what money could buy. As the days turned into a blur of hospital visits and phone calls, Nathan started to lean more heavily on Maria. The house began to crumble around him. Laundry piled up, the kids grew restless, and he found it nearly impossible to juggle everything. To his surprise, Maria's calm demeanor and resourcefulness lifted some of that burden. On one late night, as he clicked through his emails, he overheard Maria on the phone with her children. Her voice was a soft whisper filled with love and reassurance that broke through his tough exterior. He could hear her gently encouraging them. "You can do it. I believe in you." Tears prickled at his eyes. It was the kind of determination he rarely saw in his own children, spoiled by his wealth. Just as he began to appreciate Maria's role in their household, tragedy struck her. Community rumors of an impending school closure that would hit families like hers hard. Initially dismissive, Nathan shrugged it off. "Why should I care?" But soon after, he witnessed Maria rallying her neighbors, organizing meetings, and standing up for her children with a fierceness that left him speechless. He watched in awe as she fought for her community, her courage rising like a phoenix. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. The crisis came to a head when a local politician brushed off the mother's concerns, stating they should just work harder. That comment ignited a firestorm. Nathan found himself torn. Here was the woman he had looked down upon, now standing tall against the very systemic issues he inadvertently fed into. Could he really keep denying her humanity? As the confrontation escalated, Nathan clutched his phone nervously, his mind racing all the way to the moment he overheard whispers about Maria's past. Could the doubts he heard change everything? Her resolve, his burgeoning respect? Just then, he hesitated. A choice loomed before him, and he could feel the weight of it pressing down. Would he turn his back on everything he was beginning to understand? Should he push away the door that had just been opened in his heart and mind? The answer was in the air, heavy and thick with uncertainty. Nathan stood frozen, caught between two worlds. On one side, there was the ease of his privileged life, defined by wealth, status, and the routine that left him feeling invulnerable. On the other, the raw, fiery passion of Maria, her heart beating for more than just her own family, but for an entire community facing injustice. As he observed her fierce resolve, something stirred within him, pulling him closer to the lines that defined them both. The meeting that evening was packed. The local community center buzzed with tension and hope. Parents held hands, some fidgeting nervously, others visibly upset. They were all there, threats looming over their children's education, just waiting for their voices to be heard. Nathan lingered near the back, unsure, weighing whether he should step into this world or retreat back to his well-ordered life. But the sight of Maria standing before the crowd, her face lit with courage, gave him pause. With every word she spoke, she painted a picture of struggle and survival, of families fighting for their children's rights. Nathan felt a deep shame tug at him. She might argue with eloquence, but it was her heart, the fire in her soul, that captivated everyone. They listened, captivated by her words. A palpable warmth radiated through the room, pulling him forward until he was a step closer to the front. "Why are you here?" a friend had asked a while back when Nathan mentioned Maria in passing. Now he understood the question more clearly, as he gazed into her eyes, seeing elements of fight and an unwavering spirit. "So, are we just going to sit back and let them take this away?" She challenged the audience, her voice firm. "We are stronger together. Our children deserve every opportunity. Aren't we willing to fight for them?" Cheers broke out, and Nathan felt an unexpected swell of pride for her. This woman he had underestimated was leading a movement, risking it all to stand against indifference. The air crackled with energy. Suddenly, his earlier thoughts began to shift. But doubt gnawed at him. Did he have the strength to fight alongside her? Had he wasted too much time viewing her as just an employee instead of an equal? The flush of color in his face deepened as he faced himself. This was an opportunity to be part of something bigger than him, a chance to support a cause that mattered. As the meeting adjourned, Maria approached him, wiping sweat from her brow, her expression a blend of exhaustion and exhilaration. "Nathan, I know you've watched, but I need to ask, will you stand with us?" Her question pierced through his layers of discomfort. He opened his mouth to respond, his thoughts a chaotic mix of fear and excitement. In that moment, the world around them faded, leaving only the gravity of her question echoing in his heart. He took a breath, ready to respond, when suddenly a powerful voice emerged from the back of the crowd. "Who does he think he is?" A familiar face sneered, drawing unwanted attention. Faces turned, and Nathan's pulse quickened. The challenge was thrown, public scrutiny was upon him. Would he retreat, forced back into his old life? Or could he embrace this moment and step forward, into a world where courage meant standing shoulder to shoulder with someone he once underestimated? The question hung in the air, and he felt the weight of countless eyes on him, waiting for a decision that would change everything. Nathan's heart raced. The familiar sneer came from an old classmate, Marcus, whose presence felt like a heavy cloud in this moment of potential light. Nathan instinctively resisted the urge to turn and flee, but instead, he stood still, searching for the right words to deflect Marcus's jibe. "Damn it," he thought. "I can't let this guy intimidate me." Maria's gaze shifted between Nathan and the crowd, a hint of worry flashing across her face. She stepped closer, her expression a message of encouragement wrapped with challenge. "You can do this," her eyes seemed to say. Taking a deep breath, Nathan squared his shoulders and sought the warmth of Maria's strength. "I'm here because I want to help." His voice rang out loud enough to carry through the noise of the crowd. "I know I come from privilege, but that doesn't mean I don't see the value in fighting for what's right." A murmur surged through the room, a mixture of surprise and support. Marcus raised an eyebrow in disbelief. "Help? With your fancy suits and your cushy life? You don't know what it's like out here." "Maybe I don't," Nathan admitted, feeling the heat of the moment. "But I want to understand. I want to do more than just watch from a distance. I see what you all are fighting for." His eyes swept across the room, finding connection in the shared looks of the parents. "And I want to stand with Maria and with all of you." Sudden silence blanketed the room, thick with disbelief. Nathan could feel the collective heartbeat of the community, the weight of their hopes and past struggles, and right then, it sharpened into focus. "Make a difference," he thought. "You can either hide or step forward. Choose. Is that right?" Marcus challenged, his smirk unfurling like a beast ready to pounce. "You think you can just waltz in and join a fight you've never had to face?" Nathan's hands clenched at his sides. He thought of all the times he had sat back and allowed others to speak up for him. "Not exactly," he replied, a steely resolve building within him. "But I can learn, and I can contribute. Sometimes, It takes a fresh perspective to see things differently. Applause suddenly erupted from a section of the crowd, spurring others to join in. An unexpected surge of support flooded Nathan's senses, the sound enveloping him. Maria's eyes sparkled with something he hadn't noticed before, hope mixed with admiration. "Thank you," she breathed, though her gaze remained vigilant on the crowd that still simmered with skepticism. Just then, an elderly woman stood up at the front, her voice quaking yet fierce. "If he wants to fight with us, let him prove it. Give him the chance." That sparked a ripple. Whispers turned to murmurs of curiosity, then to louder voices ready to embrace change. Nathan felt a warmth bloom inside him. Perhaps, just perhaps, he wasn't alone in this after all. But then Marcus sneered again. "And if he fails? What will that mean for your cause? For your children?" Before Nathan could respond, Maria spoke, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "We only fail if we don't try. Together we can make our voices heard." With newfound backing, the room swelled with energy. But as Nathan's heart soared, a chilling thought pierced through the rising fervor. Would he really be strong enough to stand by Maria's side? The question lingered, casting shadows over the burgeoning optimism. He turned to Maria, determined and defiant. Would he be ready to fight not just against the system, but against the doubts inside him? As cheers erupted once more, Nathan clenched his fists. This was only the beginning. The fight was far from over, and as he looked into Maria's eyes, he knew this was where he truly wanted to be. The real challenge awaited. What would it take to convince himself and the community that he truly belonged? As the applause echoed in the hall, Nathan felt a rush of adrenaline. Each clap was a surge, sending warmth through his chest. People were willing to give him a chance. But the voice of doubt still whispered against his resolve. Could he really handle this? Maria stepped forward, her presence solid and grounding. "We need to organize a community meeting. Your perspective will be valuable, Nathan. You just gave them hope." She reached out, giving his shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "But you must be committed. This is not a game." Nathan nodded, though uncertainty gnawed at the edges of his confidence. He looked around the room, now alive with a mingling of hope and skepticism. "I'm all in," he replied, his voice firmer than he felt inside. Even with the community rallying behind him, Nathan couldn't shake Marcus's challenge from his mind. What if he failed? What would that mean for the people counting on him? As the meeting wrapped up, the warmth of the crowd still filled the air, but a chill was creeping in. "Let us set a date for the meeting by next week," Maria suggested, her eyes bright. "It'll give you time to prepare." He forced a smile, nodding in agreement. "I can do that." But inside, Nathan knew he was walking into uncharted territory. Maria lingered a moment longer, her gaze lingering on his. "You're strong. You just need to find your voice." She hesitated, a flicker of concern crossing her face. "Remember, it's okay not to have all the answers right away." As they stepped out of the hall, the evening air felt crisp and refreshing against Nathan's skin. It was as if the world outside mirrored his own whirlwind of emotions. Light from the street lamps stretched long shadows on the pavement, and he caught a glimpse of his reflection in a store window, suit and all. Who was this man staring back at him? The privileged kid from the other side of town? Or the one determined to stand alongside those fighting for their lives? "Hey!" Maria's voice broke through his thoughts. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." He glanced at her, knowing she sensed the tension within him. "Look, everyone has their own battles. Yours just happens to be different. But it doesn't make it any less real. Trust me, we'll figure it out together," she said, her tone steady, filled with conviction. Nathan took a deep breath, appreciating her support. He felt a flicker of something that had been buried deep, a desire to prove himself, not just to the community but to himself. As they parted ways that evening, Nathan walked with a new determination pulsing in his veins. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Amid the beauty, a storm was brewing inside him. Doubts danced with hope, creating a complex tapestry of emotions. He yearned to be strong, not just in the eyes of the community, but within himself. In his quiet moments that night, as he prepared notes for the upcoming meeting, he couldn't help but think about Marcus's words. What if he faltered when it really mattered? What if he couldn't find common ground with those who had fought their whole lives? The questions weighed heavily, but somewhere beneath the fear, a spark ignited. With every promise he made to stand up and fight, Nathan also vowed to confront the past that haunted him. Tomorrow would be the test. Could he rise to the occasion? The countdown had begun, and there was no turning back now. Would they see him as an ally or an intruder? The sun rose the next morning, its light breaking through Nathan's window like a beacon. He blinked against the brightness, feeling the weight of the day ahead press down on him. Today was the day everything would change, or at least it was supposed to. A sense of urgency gripped him, and for a moment, he wished he could retreat back under the covers. The world felt too big, too demanding. After he forced down some breakfast, Nathan rummaged through his notes. Thoughts collided in his head, each time Marcus's words echoing louder. The odds stacked against him were real. He knew the audience awaiting him wasn't after promises laced with wealth or privilege. They were hungry for authenticity, for someone who truly understood their struggles. At noon, as the clock ticked painfully slow, he arrived at the community center. The room was filled with faces, voices mingling in anticipation. Laughter mingled with anxious whispers. Nathan's heart raced. Every person seated before him had a story, a reason they were present. They weren't here for him. They were here for themselves and their families. And he was stepping into their world today. Maria greeted him at the door, her smile infectiously warm. "You look ready," she said, though Nathan saw the concern flickering in her eyes. "Just remember, speak from the heart." He swallowed hard, nodding. "I'll try my best." As they walked into the room together, the chatter quieted. All eyes shifted towards him. It hit him then their hope rested on him to shed light on their darkness. He wasn't prepared. He was still that lost boy, searching for a voice to fill the silence of his own past. Nathan took a deep breath. "Thank you for being here today. I'm Nathan, and I want to share a bit of my journey with you." His voice trembled at first, but he pressed on. Descriptions of his childhood escaped him in vivid detail: the lavish parties, the empty conversations among the glittering elite. He spoke about longing for connection, truth buried under layers of expectation, how running away had never made him feel whole. He could see their expressions shift, from skepticism to curiosity. In those moments where he tackled the hard truths, moments he was terrified to share, he could feel walls breaking down. There was a weightlessness that came with honesty, a release born from acknowledgement. "And I know that while I may have had a different upbringing, it doesn't make my journey any more valid than yours," he said, his voice stronger now, as if courage was blossoming within him. "I want to be here, not as someone above you, but as someone willing to listen and learn. I want us to fight together." That statement sparked a ripple through the crowd. Faces softened, brows unfurled, and he caught the glimmer of acceptance in their eyes. Nathan felt the electric connection, a bridge forming between his world and theirs. But as the meeting progressed, shadows lingered. Who was he really? Could he earn their trust? Just as he began to feel a sense of hope surge within him, a familiar face appeared in the back of the room. Marcus stood there, arms crossed, the same skeptical expression plastered across his features. His presence flickered a knot of uncertainty in Nathan's core. Was he really doing enough? Would his past ever cease to cloud his intentions? The meeting pressed on, with every story shared across the room stronger than the last. Nathan found himself lost in the tide of voices until the moment drew near for him to address Marcus, a confrontation that felt inevitable. "Marcus," Nathan called out, heart racing as the room grew silent. "What do you think?" Marcus smirked slightly, eyes narrowed. "You think this is just about your journey? You think you can stroll in here and be one of us?" The tension sliced through the room. Nathan felt the blood rush to his head, the fight igniting in his chest. But for once he didn't retreat. Instead, he took a step forward, grounding himself. "What if I can?" he replied, defiance coloring his tone. "What if I'm willing to learn?" The air was electric, hopes clashing. Against doubts, fear against resolve. In that moment, he knew this was just the beginning of a much bigger fight. One that could redefine everything not just for himself, but for everyone standing with him. Could he truly transform into the ally they needed, face Marcus's challenge, and rise above every fear that sought to anchor him down? The answers continued to swirl, leaving him teetering on the edge of fear and courage as he prepared for the next step. Would he triumph in this crucial moment or collapse under the weight of doubt? Nathan's heart thundered in his chest, echoing the silence that enveloped the room. He could feel every gaze trained on him, a mixture of curiosity and skepticism swirling in the air. Marcus's eyes bored into him, challenging him to falter. "Do you believe you can walk in here and suddenly understand our pain?" Marcus's voice dripped with disdain. The words struck Nathan like a cold splash of water, awakening a fierce determination within him. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about the community gathered before him, people who had faced hardship and injustice. He couldn't let them down. "I don't think I can fully understand your pain," Nathan replied, his voice steady now. "But I want to listen. I want to be part of this fight. Everyone deserves to be heard, and I'm here to amplify your voices, to stand beside you." A ripple of murmurs passed through the crowd, some heads nodding while others remained unsure. Nathan took another breath, forcing himself to maintain eye contact with Marcus. It was as if the room held its breath, waiting for a reaction. Marcus uncrossed his arms, a flicker of something like curiosity crossing his face. "And why should we trust you? You're just another rich kid pretending to care." "I get it," Nathan said, his voice rising above the gathering storm of emotions. "I come from privilege. But that doesn't mean I don't see the cracks in the system. My life hasn't been perfect either. I know what it feels like to be lost. While I may have had resources, it left me feeling empty and alone. I want to change that." He felt the tension shift slightly, uncertainty painting a collective crease on brows across the room. Encouraged, he continued, "I might not have the answers, but I'm willing to learn from all of you. I promise to give back. Let us figure this out together." Amidst the skeptical stares, he caught glimpses of hope. People leaned in slightly, their interest piqued. The connection he felt earlier was still there, flickering like a candle ready to ignite into a fire. "Let us find a way to work together," Nathan proposed, "to create a platform for real change. No more empty promises. We need to fight against the injustices that weigh us down. If you'll let me, I want to help." His words hung in the air, heavy with gravity. A small voice from the back piped up, "What do you even mean by help? What can someone like you truly do for us?" Nathan turned to see a woman with weary eyes and a hopeful heart. Her question somehow pulled him deeper into the fray. "I don't have all the answers, but I do have access, resources, connections, and the willingness to build a bridge. We need community programs, job training, support for those under crisis. Together, we can make that happen." The murmurs grew louder now, as if the room debated his sincerity. But he could also feel something shifting, a metamorphosis in the air. "All right, then," Marcus called out, his tone finally losing some of its edge. "What's your next move, Nathan?" The question echoed back to Nathan, a seed of uncertainty blooming once more. He had painted a picture, but could he truly outline the steps to bring it to life? It felt daunting, yet he could see the anticipation brimming in the room. "I'll gather resources and set up a community meeting," he replied with a newfound certainty. "I'll make sure you're involved every step of the way." A sense of unity began to blossom, hope stealing the glances of those hardened by disappointment. But as the discussion folded out into possibilities, Nathan couldn't shake the lingering thought. What if he stumbled? What if he couldn't deliver on his promises? With resolve settled in his bones, he felt determined. But doubt edged at him like a shadow, reminding him of the uphill battle that lay ahead. Would he become the ally they needed, or would the weight of his past drag him down? As the meeting wound to a close, Marcus's skeptical gaze stayed with Nathan. It was a silent challenge, a reminder that the journey wouldn't be easy. But perhaps, just perhaps, this was the chance he had been waiting for, the one that could frame not only his purpose but the very future of the community he hoped to stand by. Would Nathan be able to overcome his fears and rise to the occasion, or would the shadows from his past choke out the light he was trying to ignite? The answers loomed just out of reach, but one thing was certain. The battle had only just begun. Nathan stepped out of the dimly lit community center, the weight of the discussions hanging in the air, almost palpable. The chill of the evening seemed to seep into his bones, amplifying the unease swirling in his gut. Had he truly connected with the people in that room, or had he merely stirred the pot without a solid plan? He rubbed the back of his neck, replaying every word he'd said. Each declaration had felt so right at the moment, yet now doubts crept in like shadows. Would they trust him? Could he really build that bridge he promised? The array of emotions from the crowd rushed back to him: hope, anger, skepticism. It was an exhausting mix, yet it sparked a flame he had almost forgotten existed within him. Even as he walked to his car parked a few blocks away, the faces from the meeting haunted him. There was the older man with calloused hands, who had worked hard all his life just to scrape by. A single mother, known for her warm smile, who seemed to carry the world on her frail shoulders, flashed in his mind. He could almost hear her voice echoing the question, "What can someone like you truly do for us?" It was a valid question. His background was riddled with privilege and opportunities unlike theirs. He sat in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel as he took a breath, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions. The headlights of passing cars illuminated him through the glass, but his reflection didn't inspire confidence. As he pulled out onto the street, another thought crashed in: what if he brought them all together and couldn't deliver? Would it be worse than doing nothing at all? Disappointment lingered, a heavy cloak he didn't know how to shake off. Nathan decided it was time to stop worrying, to stop letting doubt paralyze him. He'd have to become proactive. Reaching for his phone, he quickly typed a text to his old college friend who worked in community outreach. They hadn't spoken in a while, but he needed guidance. He needed someone who knew the ropes, someone who could help him shape his passion into reality. "Hey, Jenna, can we chat soon? I want to talk about community programs and collaboration. I'm serious about making a difference. Let us connect." As he pressed send, a small spark of hope ignited. Maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't be doing this alone. The next afternoon, Nathan met Jenna at a small cafe downtown. The aroma of brewed coffee filled the air as he scanned the room. She arrived, warm and vibrant, her hair sweeping gracefully around her shoulders. They exchanged greetings, a mixture of nostalgia and urgency underscoring their reunion. "Tell me everything," she urged, her eyes sparkling with curiosity as they settled down at a corner table. Nathan could see her energy was contagious even as he relayed his vision. "I want to create spaces for people to thrive. Job training, mentorship opportunities, a safe place for discussions." Jenna nodded, tapping her fingers on the table, and he felt himself gaining momentum. "That sounds incredible, but it's going to take more than just a few meetings. You need to build trust, and that starts with listening. Really listening." Through the next hour, they brainstormed, rewriting the narrative Nathan had been so keen on pursuing alone. With every idea they tossed back and forth, the solidity of hope built around him, morphing the vague outlines of his plan into something tangible and real. As they walked out of the cafe together, Nathan noticed a flyer on a nearby bulletin board advertising a neighborhood festival, a gathering meant to celebrate community resilience. "Jenna, look at this. We should set up a booth there." A flood of excitement washed over him. It was a chance to meet more people, to share his intentions and really listen to their stories firsthand. "So what is stopping us?" Jenna grinned, and he felt a surge of adrenaline. They began planning their approach, detailing who they might reach out to and how to get involved before they even stepped into the festival. Nathan's heart raced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. They headed toward the office to outline their project. But as he walked, a shadow flicked across his thoughts. What if no one showed up? What if he put his heart on display and was met with silence? Still, as he faced the horizon filled with possibilities, he knew one thing for sure: he had to try. Uncertain steps toward change were better than standing still, and the only path toward understanding their pain was to walk it together. With each passing moment, he felt the flicker of hope intensifying, but now he had to put it to the test. Would the community welcome him? Or would his privilege become yet another barrier to bridge? With these questions ringing in his mind, he steeled himself for the journey ahead. At that moment, he felt the stakes rise higher than ever. But he also sensed that, with the right people by his side, he might just figure it out. As they turned toward the future, he wondered, would Nathan find the keys to unlock the community's hidden strengths? Or would he discover that heartfelt action requires more than just good intentions? The days flew by, each one blurring into the next as Nathan and Jenna dove into preparations for the neighborhood festival. They met every evening at the cafe, notebooks filled with ideas and drafts of flyers. Excitement buzzed in the air, but Nathan's doubts crept back more often than he cared to admit. The flyer for the festival remained taped to the fridge, serving as a daily reminder of what lay ahead. On the morning of the festival, Nathan awoke with a mix of butterflies and dread swirling in his stomach. He dressed quickly, opting for something comfortable yet professional. As he made his way to the venue, the sun shone brightly, illuminating the streets, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to occur, either a triumph or a terrific failure. When he arrived, the park was already alive with laughter and the sound of cheerful chatter. Tents lined the pathways, their colors vibrant against the backdrop of the crisp autumn sky. Nathan found Jenna setting up their booth, arranging pamphlets, and juggling supplies. Her bright energy almost made his anxiety dissipate. "Good morning. Ready to change some lives?" she said, flashing him a grin that put him slightly at ease. "Ready as I'll ever be," he replied, attempting a smile of his own. But as people began to flow in, his nerves tightened again. Faces of strangers filled the space, a myriad of emotions and stories weaving in and out of view. "Here comes our first visitor," Jenna exclaimed, nudging him gently. A young woman approached, her brow furrowed. Nathan took a deep breath. "Hi there. I'm Nathan and this is Jenna. We're here to listen, share, and hopefully help in any way we can," he said, voice quivering slightly as he spoke. The woman hesitated, a flicker of skepticism in her eyes. "What do you actually know about us? About our struggles?" Her voice pierced through Nathan's facade, illustrating the gap that still loomed between him and the community. He felt his heartbeat quicken. "Honestly, not enough. But I want to know. That's why we're here." She studied him intently, almost weighing his sincerity against her own lived experiences. The silence stretched between them, heavy with the unspoken. "Come back when you have answers," she finally said, and turned away, leaving Nathan feeling hollow. Throughout the morning, they spoke to many people, and the mix of reactions was overwhelming. Some welcomed their intentions with open arms, while others were understandably skeptical. A mother with her children expressed the daily struggles of juggling work and childcare as they passed by their booth. A retired man spoke of hopes for job training programs but also advised caution, recalling promises that had never been fulfilled. Each conversation weighed on Nathan, tears threatening to spill as he felt the struggle, the heartache threaded through their stories. He found himself connecting deeply, each recounting more poignant than the last. These weren't just tales of hardship, they were calls to action. "Let us not shy away from this," Jenna said as they stepped away from a conversation with a local artist dreaming of gallery shows. "Every no just means we need to refine our approach. They want to see us actively engaged." Just after lunch, Nathan spotted the older man from the community center, the one he had worried about the most. Approaching with slow deliberation, Nathan felt the weight of their previous encounter linger. "Hi, remember me?" he asked, his voice barely breaking the surface of the noise around them. The man met his gaze, eyes reflecting years of struggle, but also a twinkle of something hopeful. "You seem different," he said, tilting his head slightly. "What do you really want to do here?" Nathan hesitated, unsure of how to put everything he had been feeling into words. "I want to listen, but I also want to make real changes that matter. I need your help to guide me." The man paused, taking in Nathan's earnestness. "All right then, let us start with the basics. With that simple exchange, Nathan felt a shift inside him. Maybe there was a chance after all. They talked for a while, and Nathan felt the barrier between them slowly start to dissolve. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the festival, Nathan couldn't help but feel a swell of gratitude. He was beginning to grasp the first bits of what it meant to be part of this community. But as the crowds thinned, a sinking realization set in. While progress had been made, the work was just beginning. In that moment, Nathan looked around, appreciating how far they had come in a day. But tomorrow loomed large, and with it, the knowledge that true connection would require relentless pursuit. Would he find the courage to keep pushing forward? Or would doubts begin to creep back in as reality set in once again? The morning after the festival dawned bright and crisp, the remnants of yesterday's excitement a faint memory hovering in the air. Nathan woke up with the sun streaming through his window, but instead of the familiar giddiness of the day before, he felt an overwhelming heaviness on his chest. He tossed his covers aside and stared blankly at the across the room, mind racing. What had he truly achieved? After a quick shower, he slipped into an old sweatshirt and some jeans. He downed a cup of black coffee, hoping its warmth would soothe his restless thoughts. He felt a tug in his gut, so many stories shared, so many lives touched, but he wondered if it was enough. Would yesterday's efforts fade away like morning mist? His phone buzzed, breaking through the haze. It was a message from Jenna, a photo of their booth taken later in the evening. The photograph captured their setup with smiling faces of neighbors stopping by, laughter filling the air. Nathan's heart lifted for a moment, but it was quickly overshadowed by doubt. He texted her back, "What's next? Let's meet at the cafe. I've got some new ideas," came her enthusiastic reply. As Nathan arrived at the cafe, the warm smell of roasted coffee greeted him, but underneath it, he sensed the lingering aroma of uncertainty in his soul. Jenna was already there, poring over a fresh set of notes. Her eyes sparkled with determination, igniting a spark of hope within him. "There you are. I was just thinking about how to reach more people," she said, beaming. "We need follow-ups. Community gathering, maybe? More opportunities for listening and sharing." Nathan nodded slowly, contemplating her words. "But what if we fail again? What if they don't come?" Jenna leaned in closer, her expression softening. "Nathan, think about the faces from yesterday. The artist, the mother, they were waiting for someone to reach out. They need this just as much as we do. We can't stop now." Her conviction stirred something deep within him, pushing back against his doubts. "All right, let us do it. Let us host that gathering." As they brainstormed, the ideas flooded in, each one more exciting and ambitious than the last. And with every suggestion that Jenna proposed, Nathan felt the walls of apprehension beginning to crumble. But then that nagging fear returned. "What if it's too soon? What if we don't have the resources?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "The best things come from vulnerability," Jenna said firmly. "The scary but necessary. We're being real with them, and that's what counts." The choice was clear. Embrace the uncertainty or retreat into silence. Despite the trepidation coursing through him, Nathan felt the surge of courage rising within. Later, as they sealed plans for a gathering, he realized how transformative this journey had already been. The stories they had collected were not just burdens but seeds, waiting to bloom into real change. He found himself imagining the faces of parents and artists, all waiting to contribute, to connect. But even with this new resolve, a small part of him lingered in doubt. The gathering was just the beginning, and Nathan couldn't ignore the growing sense of responsibility. As Jenna gathered her notes to leave, she caught the deep furrow of his brow. "What's wrong? I feel like we're moving fast, like this is a leap into the unknown." She smiled gently. "That's where magic happens, Nathan. Don't shy away from it." With a final squeeze of her shoulder, they stepped out into the bright afternoon. But just as they were discussing logistics, Nathan noticed a figure standing at the cafe entrance. A woman he recognized. It was the same woman who had challenged him the day before at the festival. Her arms crossed in skepticism, and her eyes locked onto him with a fierce intensity. Just then, A realization hit him like a wave. Could she be coming back to share more than criticism? Let us go see what she needs, Jenna said, nudging him forward, unaware of the anxious knot tightening in Nathan's stomach. Little did they know that this encounter would spark revelations neither of them could ever predict. Would it be a moment of connection, or another barrier to break? He took a deep breath, ready to engage. The woman approached slowly, her expression a mix of hesitation and determination. Nathan felt every moment stretch, each breath palpable between them. "Hi," she said, voice steady but guarded. "I wanted to talk more about what you said yesterday about wanting to listen." Of course, Nathan replied, heart racing. He sensed Jenna's presence beside him, supportive, yet her own curiosity sparked the air around them. "Thank you for coming back. I'd love to hear your thoughts." She took a step closer, folding her arms tighter across her chest. "I don't know you. Just because you held a booth doesn't mean you actually care about our community or our struggles." It was a direct hit, and Nathan felt his resolve waver slightly. "You're right," he admitted, voice firm yet genuine. "I haven't proven anything yet. But I want to. I want to learn and help create change." "Change takes time," she responded, her brow furrowing. "You can't just waltz in and expect us to share our lives with someone we don't know. Many of us have been disappointed before." He nodded, absorbing her words. Understanding her skepticism felt crucial. "Believe me, I understand how trust can be hard to earn. I was raised in a bubble, far from the realities most face. You're right to question me. My privilege hasn't come with the lessons of hardship." She studied him, the fire in her gaze softening a bit. "Words are easy. Action is harder. What can you really bring to the table?" Nathan took a breath, aware of the weight of her challenge. "Next week, we're organizing a community gathering. I want it to be a space for open dialogue, a chance for everyone to share their stories. I want to ensure every voice is heard, but more importantly, I want to learn how I can contribute to making real change." He could see a flicker of intrigue in her eyes but held his breath, waiting for her response. The silence lingered, thick with anticipation. Finally, she nodded slowly. "All right, I'll come to that gathering, just don't waste our time." "Thank you," Nathan breathed out, relief tumbling in. He felt Jenna's silent support next to him, her eyes brightening with hope. "Let us clear one thing up," the woman continued, her tone firm yet hinting at something softer. "If you're genuine, you'll need to face the critics, and there will be many. Not everyone will welcome you into this space." "I expect that," Nathan replied, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. "I welcome it. It's part of the process of honestly changing and understanding together." With a final nod, she turned and began walking away, leaving Nathan to reflect on their exchange. He could still feel the tension subsiding in the air around them. There was hope, a glimmer of potential friendship built on candid honesty. "Nice job," Jenna said, her voice breaking through the moment. "You faced that head-on." "Yeah, but it's just the beginning," Nathan replied, feeling the weight of responsibility settle onto his shoulders. They decided to head back to the cafe, where they could strategize about the gathering. The conversation bubbled with anticipation and energy, ideas bouncing between them, but doubt crept back in occasionally. How would they bridge the gap between intention and impact? As days rolled into the week, Nathan and Jenna worked tirelessly to prepare for the gathering, reaching out to community members, getting involvement from schools and local businesses. The excitement was palpable, but Nathan carried concern like a heavy cloak. What if they failed to make a difference? He had seen hope in glimpses, but he wasn't sure it would hold out. When the day of the gathering finally arrived, Nathan wore a smile that felt tight, sufflated by nerves. The old community center was alive with chatter, filled with faces both familiar and new. The scent of coffee melded with the sound of laughter instantly made him feel more at home. "Remember," Jenna said as they stepped to the front, "speak from the heart." As Nathan took the podium, he scanned the room, each gaze a flicker of unspoken stories, each face a testament to resilience. "Thank you all for being here. Today," he began, voice steady though heart thrumming. I stand before you not as someone with all the answers but as a person eager to learn from you. Feels terrifying yet invigorating. The crowd quieted, expectation hanging in the air. Many of you don't know me. I'm still learning about the struggles you face daily. But I promise to listen, give you platforms, and fight alongside you. Change is not a solo act. It's a chorus that needs every voice united. He saw nods of approval and expressions of skepticism melting away as they connected in shared purpose. I'm committed to understanding your needs and finding ways we can advocate together. He spoke, feeling the weight of every word. I may have discharged a trust I've yet to earn, but I'm here to step forward into that space. As he finished his address, a ripple of applause followed, lifting the room's energy. Answers felt within reach, and in that moment of collective hope, it struck Nathan that he wasn't just transforming others' perceptions but changing himself. As the discussions flowed and stories entwined throughout the gathering, the community began to express their hopes, dreams, and fears. The walls that had initially stood strong began to crumble. Nathan felt lighter, embraced by the warmth of unity. As the evening wore on, people shared laughs and memories, trading cards with names and contact info. It was an electric atmosphere, bursting with potential. As the last attendees filtered out, Nathan felt filled with gratitude. There was work ahead, much ground to cover, but it all felt a little more achievable now. The woman who had challenged him days ago approached, this time with a smile. I appreciated your honesty today. You might really mean it. Nathan could hardly believe it as a wave of warmth washed over him. I'm so glad you came, he replied, finding sincerity in his own words. Thank you for giving it a chance. As the gathering came to a close, Nathan and Jenna stood together, watching the energy of the evening surround them. The beginnings of togetherness surged forward, inviting them into a future of promise. This was just a flicker of light, he realized. A tiny spark ignited within a giant darkness. They would nurture it, inviting others to come and join. With every moment shared, they could keep the fire alive. As they stepped outside into the night, Nathan couldn't help but smile, already anticipating what tomorrow would bring. This was only the beginning. Now, it's time for you to take a stand too. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming journey and how it inspired you. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can keep the fire burning and spark change in our own communities.